is Ryan Fitzpatrick. I don't know if you guys heard, but he did an interview. He was heartbroken by the move. It caught him by surprise.
I was surprised he came out and said that.
Yeah, he felt that Dolphins were his team. The only time he's ever felt like that was with Buffalo. Bottom line, he was heartbroken. Didn't sound too happy for Tua the way he was when Tua got jumped into the game. What are your expectations for Tua starting? How do you think he will do? The next games he's going to play against the Rams, the Cardinals, the Chargers. Then the schedule gets easier with the Broncos, Jets, and Bengals.
I will say before we get into what we think we're going to see from Tua, I think that even though Ryan Fitzpatrick made those comments, he's still going to be a great veteran for Tua. Like, I don't think that he holds any remorse, or holds anything against Tua.
I think it's more to the coach.
Yeah, I think Tua. And I'm sure that he had spoken to Brian Flores before the season started, and they had an understanding of how things were going to happen. And I think that things have been accelerated because I don't think that Brian Flores expected them to be in the position they're in. When you look at it, it's not outlandish to say that the Dolphins could be a playoff team or win the division if the Bills don't start to pick it up, and we'll talk about the Bills later on. I don't think that they will fall off like that, but it's not crazy to say that the Dolphins could win the division, and I think that the ceiling of what Tua could be, he could be that difference maker that could put them over the top.
With me, I don't have a problem with it. I have a problem with it because of one reason, but I'm going to get to Tua first. I think that Tua is better than Ryan Fitzpatrick right now. I don't have any doubts about that. The only reason that they weren't playing him because they didn't want him to get hurt. Now that they see a chance to go into the playoffs, they've seen Tua practice every day. They've seen him compete against Fitzpatrick. They thought this is the move we have to make to have the best chance to win this division. Saying all of that, I think the team rallied behind Fitzpatrick, and they really thought of him as a leader and the guy for that team. And I'm not sure if they're going to do the same for Tua. And I think that puts Tua in an awkward situation because he kind of has to perform, and that's kind of...
Yeah, I was just going to say it leads to the first sign of things going wrong. Things will get nasty in that locker room.
And I have this theory. I call it the tryout theory. And this is the theory that the Dolphins are doing with Tua. They have the draft pick from the Texans, a high draft pick. They have their own draft pick. If Tua doesn't play well, they could possibly snag a Justin Fields, a Trey Lance. If the Jets don't get the number one pick, they could have a suitor to go jump in and get Trevor Lawrence. They got the ammunitions. They got the pieces to draft a player. Maybe this is a trial for Tua. Let's see if this guy really is going to be the franchise guy. Let's put him out there now. If we don't see it, then let's go and try to get a quarterback in the draft, and hopefully he's going to be better.
I've always thought that was crazy.
I honestly thought, I felt like, same with you, I feel like Tua was better than Ryan Fitzpatrick from day one. I just felt like they needed to see if he was going to be healthy and he was going to be ready to go. But I do feel like, I do agree with you. I think the team was rallying behind Fitzpatrick. They was like, all right, this is our guy. We're going to rock with him to the end of the season. We feel like we could really win with this guy. And now you're plugging a rookie who he really doesn't, he's still understanding the game in the NFL, and he doesn't know how to lead yet NFL players. And I feel like doing that in the midst of it right now where the division is kind of tight, Buffalo's kind of falling.
Against three good teams.
Even New England is kind of falling too, so now you're plugging in a rookie and you can just be like, all right, come on, lead us. And Fitzpatrick has kind of had the team on his back. I think it's going to be tough for Tua because now the pressure's on him. But I think he could do it. He went to Alabama.
There's going to be expectations there too now.
Yeah, definitely. I also think there's this false narrative that Fitzpatrick was playing really well. He was playing average, mediocre. He wasn't
playing good enough.
I think he wasn't lights out. Yeah, because their defense is ranked 4th in the NFL.
I think he was
playing.
Win. I think his impact was off the field more than on the field. I think he was just a leader on the sideline. He was out there being the vocal point of the offense. I think his impact is more not like you don't look at his stats and you say, that's where his impact is.
You knew you weren't going to get superstar level or star
quarterback
level play from him.
Yeah, but he is playing mediocre. So that's why the move, it's not that much of a shock because they obviously know that Tua could be better. And he probably is looking better, but they just don't want him to get hurt. And back to what you said about the idea of the trial thing being crazy. I think it is crazy. But at the same time, with the Tua thing, he's too much of an injury concern.
That's a fair point.
For if he's not playing well, or if, God forbid, he gets hurt, they can hopefully go and get a quarterback in this upcoming draft. Because if he's hurt, if he gets hurt, and maybe he doesn't play well, then what other option do they have?
The only argument I would make against that is that they thought that he was healthy enough to use the number 5 pick on him this year, and I think that speaks volumes to they thought he could be durable enough moving forward, and if they didn't, then that's a concern on their front office. Like, what are they doing wasting the 5th overall pick on a guy that they have huge question marks
Absolutely.
on? When Herbert was still on the board, too.
But Herbert had a lot of question marks on his tape in college.
Of course.
Oh, but like a lot. Tua, they banked on his potential. Everybody knew the injury concern with Tua was there. And that's why people had Justin Herbert going to Miami. But when you watch the tape, Tua was way better in college than Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert had way too many question marks about him. That's why he didn't go to Miami. But I do think the injury concern is a real concern. And if he doesn't live up to the expectations that, he's supposed to live up to, I think he should just play good, right? He should just play good. There's a lot of pressure on him because Joe Burrow has shown he could play. Herbert has shown he could play. So Tua kind of has to show he can play. And he's not mediocre.
Barring a big-time injury, I think it would be a mistake for the Dolphins to go out and draft a quarterback after a half a season of Tua. And I think that if I was them, I would have rode out Ryan Fitzpatrick. Unless there's something I don't know, I would have tried to ride out Ryan Fitzpatrick for these next 3 games against, or at least the next 2, against the Rams and the Cardinals. And then I also would have ran him out there against the Chargers too, that you could start Tua with some cupcakes in the Broncos, the Jets, and the Bengals.
See, that's why I think my theory is correct. Because they don't want to start him against the bad teams. He's going to look good against the bad teams. They want to see how he's going to look against these better teams.
But he would have had his shot against better teams. I'm saying I would have liked to work his confidence against the Broncos, Jets, Bengals, and then he would have went Chiefs, Patriots, Raiders, Bills to end the season.
Sheesh.
That's a tryout to me.
I think any other draft, it would be out of the realm to give up on Tua, but in this draft, when you have a Trevor Lawrence in this draft, who's probably one of the best quarterback prospects we've seen since Andrew Luck, you just shove Tua to the side.
If they could, I don't think
that's why
anybody should pass on Trevor Lawrence.
And that's why I think if the Jets don't get the number 1 pick, because there's no way the Jets should trade the number 1 pick to Miami. There's no way. Anybody else other than the Jets, 2 high first-round picks, all the other picks they have, they can make a real legit package. They can get a package for them.
I don't think that anybody should pass up on them. The only 2 teams that I think you would really make an argument should pass up on Trevor Lawrence at number 1 would be the Seahawks or the Chiefs, and neither of them are coming close to the first overall pick. Other than that, like there's Baltimore also Baltimore because Lamar Jackson is also in that conversation. That's my bad. But other than that, I don't know if there's a quarterback in the league that I would
fair assessment
take over the potential of what Trevor Lawrence could be.
But ultimately, I think Tua does well. You got good offensive weapons.
I think he'll do all right.
Preston Williams.
I hope he does.
Devontae Parker, Mike Gesicki. They got some good guys.
Yeah, I'm rooting for Tua.
He shouldn't play bad. I'm expecting him to play good because obviously if they made this move, they think he'll play better than Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Even as a Jet fan, I wish nothing but the best for him. He's a good dude. He seems like a good dude at least. And
dude went to Alabama. He got it. He'll be all right.
He can play. Listen, you look at how he started his Alabama career. He got thrown into the national championship game down and brought his team back, won in overtime. If anybody could do it.
He'd be the first Alabama quarterback to succeed in the NFL in a while.
And that was over like a college Jalen Hurts.
I was just saying, like, he's faced the pressure. Like, he's been battle tested, in my opinion. So, like, this, I don't think this is going to be anything new to him coming into being thrust into a situation like this with the expectations on him. If there's any chance to, have that experience, how about being thrown into the national championship game? And he did it. He was successful there. So, I think he can handle it. I don't think the pressure is going to be too much for him. I think it's going to come down to him as a quarterback because, they've shown they're good enough to win football games, and they've competed against good teams. Like, they competed with Seattle. They lost by a touchdown. They were right in that game. They competed with Buffalo. They lost by a field goal. So they blew the Niners out of the water. Granted, they were injured.
That was crazy.
You know,
even though Jimmy G did play.
they're a solid team. I don't think they're there yet, but they have a playoff contending roster, especially, you know, in a weakened AFC East, I should say, because it's not weak. We don't know what the Bills are yet, in my opinion at least. They could be a playoff roster, so it's going to come down to Tua. What is he? Is he ready for this spotlight? But I will also say if he doesn't play well this year, and maybe even Ryan Fitzpatrick has to come back out, I'm not done with Tua.
Yeah, I think it's too early to say you're just
He's
done.
young.
It depends
He's
on
young.
how bad he plays, in my opinion. It really
Well,
depends.
if he comes out and looks horrible, it's a different story. But I'll give him some leeway in his rookie year. He also again hasn't played competitive football since he got hurt early in the season last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Halfway
did.
through the season, so he hasn't played in a competitive football game in how long? No preseason. So this is going to be totally new for him.